And good afternoon in California, where Hyle is. Live, and this time we have Guro Hyle Campbell of Lameco Astig, Morcal. Good evening, bro. How are you doing?
Outstanding. How are you today?
I'm good. Busy.
Yeah, I see. You're probably talked out.
I think you're. I think for this time you have to do all the talking.
You have to
Oh,
ask me
and
questions.
oh, and yeah, and also besides welcoming you to the show, I would like to welcome your beautiful uh, Asian
Asian nerdy
assassin
girl, assassin
assistant,
killer.
the triple A, Asian assassin assistant, Stephanie.
She's saying hello.
Oh, hi. Oh, he's okay. All right. So, good evening, guys. Once again, this is a FMA discussion episode 315, and tonight we have Guru Hal Campbell. So tonight, um, Hal will talk about his journey to martial arts, to FMA. Also, specifically more specific, he's going to talk about his journey with Lameco, which is basically close to his heart. Okay, he's going to be sharing quite a lot of it with us tonight, and of course, him being a teacher in Lameco Astig, what impact training with Lameco is did to him, and also, of course, his brand, which is Native Clan Training Blades. All right. Good evening again.
Good evening. Good
Yeah, the
afternoon to
smiling
us.
assassin of NorCal.
Yes, it's a good day here. I can see the
Yeah, I
mountains and
can
the hills
see.
here.
Yeah, I think we already run out of sunshine over here. We're already like gray clouds now, unlike last week. Okay, so we do have Dan Cookits from Pennsylvania and Guru Gagi.
Hey, Gagi,
All, all hail
Terry,
Kuya
and
Tom
Dan.
pulling a double shift.
Welcome.
Yeah, man. Greeting, gents. So glad to see Guru Hyle. Long overdue appearance. Yes, that's
Yes.
true. That's true. That's true. And Terry, neighbor from Stockton.
There you go. Hey, Stockton. I'm in Hayward. Not too far.
Okay, so um, I already laid out basically the topics that we have tonight. Let's get the ball rolling. So for those who weren't here last night, would you be able to, I mean, again, start how you got into martial arts? It's very interesting. Okay, so the things the stories that you said last night about your introduction to martial art. So take it away.
Yeah, like a lot of people, I was, influenced by Bruce. I was 10 years old when he passed, and it just started a whirlwind of exploring for us. Uh, but even before that, I grew up in a family where boxing was the thing. Uncles, cousins, everybody were boxers, so we all grew up, pounding on each other, beating up on the little cousins, and just carrying on the tradition of learning how to, you know, uh, raise your hands and defend yourself. There was always a chance of getting in a fight. I think I got in my first fight when I was in the second grade, so maybe like 6 or 7 years old, trying to stick up for a friend. Got beat up on the playgrounds a bunch of times, and each time was kind of going, how do you get better? One thing I learned early on though is if you fight with a bully, even if he's much bigger than you, usually they'll leave you alone.
Mm.
Um, because they're not really looking to beat you up. They're looking to see you cower. They're looking to control
Yeah,
you.
that's true.
And even if they beat you up, if you get a good lick in there and you stand up for yourself, usually they go, you're cool, okay. And the next thing you know, they don't bug you anymore because they don't really want to fight. They just want to bully people, right? So always just stood up. Didn't matter how big or whatever. Even sometimes two or three guys were, going up in the schools we did. Um, it's just the way it was. So boxing early on, I did Campbell karate early on with my friends. We did taekwondo, we did aikido, all through maybe like junior high school, early high school,
Hmm.
So. those were always arts. Campbell was really interesting. I liked it. My dad actually I wanted to do Campbell because my buddies were doing Campbell, and it was Ed Parker, as closely related to Bruce Lee as we could get. But
Yeah.
so we did Campbell. My dad actually took me, and he quit after like 4 months because they used to make a spar. This was in the
Okay.
70s, and in the 70s there was no gear.
Ah,
I think maybe we had a cup, if that. And he goes, I get
that's it.
tired getting kicked in the groin by these young girls. Like my dad had enough of it, but I was like, yeah, this is fun. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, but it was always part of what we did, and then off into the military. So it was always some part of a screamer. Like I said before, in the
Yeah.
beginning when we first started doing it, I didn't know what it was. We were just doing drills, uh, you know, uh, you know, playing with sticks and stars and nunchucks
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until later on in life that I understood that it was a dedicated art, because it was always part of something we did. It didn't matter if
Yeah.
we were doing kickboxing or something. I always went to schools where it was multiple disciplines. So I think we all started training. I mean, so maybe in maybe 2010 or so uh, with Brenda King. I thought I was done with martial arts, but I got sucked back in. Uh, I don't know. I must have been still maybe late 30s or something. I thought I was done. I go, I'm too old for
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm not doing it anymore.
Okay.
But JKD, Kali, grappling. We were doing CSW. Eric Paulson's. I was part of his coach program for a while, so a lot of ground. He has a great program in STX, which is a Savat Muay Thai blend. That
Yeah.
was great. He's got some great instructors, Nicholas. So I was a stand-up guy, originally, but uh, at that school, NorCal, we had Dan Eggert and Michael Ekdemia, who were great instructors. Uh, Dan was a Marine. Brenda was an average size older Asian woman that could manhandle grown men like they were puppets. And so when I saw that, I go, I want to know that. Because you go and you go to martial arts schools and you see the big guy, he's six something, 200 whatever, 300 pounds, and he goes, yeah, you just pick the guy up and you throw him and you break his arm, and he goes, yeah, right. I'm a small guy, so uh, it was always hard for a small guy to do those big man martial arts. But when I saw
Yeah. That's
her
true.
manhandle people, I go, what is that? She says, the Moog, it's the Moog. And,
Mm.
she was just throwing people around and really showing people how to do it. And it was a different aspect of things. It was all, since it was JKD, it wasn't necessarily a specific brand of JKD, although we were doing some Inosanto JKD. It
Yeah.
was the JKD mindset, all ranges. We start with bad language range, right? Kicking range, boxing range, trapping range, grappling range. So in each of those ranges, we were learning different things, and then we
Okay.
would try to put it together. So we might focus on, for 2 or 3 weeks on ground or something like that. But there was always, Kali in there, and we were mixing it up. So it wasn't
Yeah.
just one art; it was all the arts kind of put together. So I started off as a stand-up. In fact, I was teaching the kickboxing at Peninsula Self Defense
All
for,
right.
but I was teaching kind of more the maybe the advanced class, because
Okay.
for me it was about sparring. Like, let's
Oh,
spar.
I see.
Let's
Yes.
spar.
Yeah. Mm.
So if they would go through the regular class, where they're learning jab, cross, hook, looking the bags, doing the basic
Yeah. Yeah.
drills, what are
Mm.
basic kicks. Once they got proficient, then they could come over where I was, and we were, like 20 minutes clinic,
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes of sparring, right? And you would spar everybody in the class.
Yes.
We make our rounds. So that's really like a lot of those people. Some of them I still train with, a big portion of them, and I think one of the comments I got was, "I thought you were just the old guy that was going to tell us what to do. I didn't know you were going to spar us all." But that's
Yeah.
always it's always been the fun, the sparring,
Yeah.
sparring.
And you
You
lead
know,
by example.
yeah. You want to try it, you want to see what works. The difference about my kickboxing class, though, is being I have some Korean arts in my background in Muay Thai and boxing. It was a bit of a blend, and plus, too, like I said, we were doing Eric Paulson's STX, which is a Savat mix. So we
Mm.
would talk about what's a front kick. Is it a thrust kick? Is it a push kick? Is it a what kind of kick is it? So there's many types of front kicks. So we would talk about the different uses of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, if you've done Muay Thai, you go, this is the most powerful kick in the world. And should be it. I go, yeah, well, we know that the cross is probably the most powerful punch, but we don't just go around fighting like this either.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Exactly.
set up, you do, there's different
Yeah,
reasons for different kicks. So we would
yeah.
do that. And then that sparring was going, okay, now let's try to apply these things
Yeah.
that we're doing.
It's actually always good if you manage to apply the the skills that you basically build,
Yeah,
not just by drills, because drills
right,
is one thing, but to apply it in sparring, that's basically how you get to understand how to use tactics,
right. Or
how
if
to
they work for you,
strategize, or yeah,
you know,
exactly, or they work for you or not. So yeah, exactly. So yeah,
there's a lot of techniques where I've tried where people are going, this is an engaño or whatever, and I try to implement it in a spar, and you get smacked, harder
mm,
than you thought. And you go, I did that right. And well, you're not supposed to go way up here. It's supposed to be here,
yeah,
or different ways where uh, you implemented it incorrectly. So you got to have the spar where you can kind of go, is my idea of this concept correct? And
mm,
what am I doing wrong? If
yeah,
you're, or maybe it doesn't work for you. Maybe it's not a good
exactly,
technique.
yeah. Try something else
Or you go,
or
show me
improve,
how does this
yeah,
work? Because it
or
didn't work for
improve.
me. I got hit.
Exactly, or improve the
Right.
timing, improve your footwork, your distancing. At least by sparring, you'll be able to understand why it's not working or why is it working. So all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We've got Robert Small from
Daisy,
Kansas.
Canoa,
Yeah, yeah. Baste said hi you all from no.
Lameco.
Yeah, hello my Lameco brother. Daisy,
Yes.
yep, and Canoa. Yeah. Right. Thank you guys for what for tuning in. If you got any questions later on for Hal, please don't hesitate to put that in the comment box so we can address this. Yeah. Okay. So you've done quite a lot of, especially boxing and sparring since you were a kid. Okay.
Yeah.
That almost becomes part of your like family gathering,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then you you progress into learning, getting into FMA.
Yeah.
Okay. Did also like learn spend some time also like learning from the Inosanto system, and like what you said yesterday, that's how you met Guru Roger, and that's that kind of like no, because when you did your Inosanto, you kind of like you already had a preview of what Lameco is,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it's like, and I want to say this for those people who are watching or watch this later. I've ran into a lot of people who actually never met Guru Dan, and they always think that somehow he's going around saying he created everything and this is his system. It's called the Inosanto blend,
Hmm.
that he does. But when he teaches, he's not going here. I created all this stuff and look the system. He's basically saying, okay, we're going to do some Balento walk. I learned it from GM so and so and whatever, and had the, I met him here, and here's what he told me, and then
Yeah.
he'll share a few techniques, and then he'll go, okay, let me, we're going to go into some illustrisimo. So for me, when I trained and I got, I don't know, hundreds of hours with Guru Dan because I'm in California and he's in California. Um, he oh it's Tim. Hey Tim, I didn't
Jim.
mention Tim, and but to me, Guru Dan is always like, I'm giving you the previews of the FMA systems.
Hmm.
Look up through all these windows, pick a door that you want to go through, and then seek those masters out or those people that represent those styles and learn more about it if that's something that captures you. And so
Hmm.
rather than going down the Inosanto instructor path, I didn't. I went down after I met Roger. I was kind of like, I love the energy and the intensity. I still go see Guru Dan as much as I can. I go to his
Yeah.
Silat camps and do his Silat and whatever FMA. It's always a great pleasure to be around him and see him. He's hopefully he's got another 10 years, but he's getting up there in age too. So and it's always wonderful. I mean, talking about childhood memory. I mean,
Of course.
him and I trained with Ron Balicki and Diana and so many great people that it was always an honor to be around him.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have the chance to train like with Guru Dan, with Ron, with Paul as
Yeah,
well. Um, to yeah,
yeah,
if I can.
yeah.
Okay.
My instructor was a big. One of my instructors was a big PFS person, so we did a lot of VUNAC, you know, rat system, everything. So it was a good blend. And in fact, out of all the schools I went to, NorCal JKD was a beautiful blend of we're not like stuck in a system.
Yeah.
We had an idea, like to us, the JKD mindset was more of the of the ranges. What do you know in this range? In fact, Tim McFatridge, what a you know, I met him through Roger. He came with Blue Roger one time. Stick Grappler, student of Larry Hartzell. Uh, Great guy. I think I was on his website for a while with him, you know, sticking a ponyo on my throat. So, yeah, he's a good guy too. I always had a was happy to train with him. He's a knowledgeable guy.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, you know, once I met Guru Roger, like I said, he came, and out of all the instructors that I had been with, he was the still probably the only one that's like, okay, let's pick up a stick. We're all sparring, and I loved his energy. Being that Marine Corps background, it was always the gung ho, you know, and he was right there in your face, and you know, as good as I thought maybe I was, you know, I didn't think I was, you know, the best, but I
Hmm.
wasn't bad. He just at will, you know, take his shots with you. And I was like, what is this? You know, how is he doing this? What is he doing? And you know, after I don't know, it's been over 10 years now, and you know, he's still able to get those shots. I'm able to get uh, the shots in every now and then. I've gotten much
You're
better.
getting points.
I can't even say that. You know, I got to wait till he gets old because you know we're the same age. But
So that's your strategy. Wait him to get old.
yeah, then I got you.
Yeah.
So you know, he has his brand of Lameco, like a lot of the SOGs. You know, there was
Hmm.
Valencia
Yeah.
Lameco and there's Lameco Astig, and you know, Bro David has the Lameco original. You know, so they all have their way of teaching it, but they all have this intensity about them,
Hmm.
which is unique to. Maybe it's not just unique to them, but all these SOGs have that in your face
Yeah.
kind of attitude and energy about them, and that's kind of what drew me to him because I'd like that.
Yeah.
It's not for
So bes
everybody. Some people don't like that, right?
mm. So besides, let's start off with the original SOG group. So
Yeah.
you've trained with Guru Roger,
Dino
and
and
I.
Ariel, Dino and Ariel. I had an opportunity to do some Zoom with Bong Hevia.
So
Uh,
how was it training with them?
you know, it's you're getting more little details about something, right? And what you notice is they all must have been paying attention at different times during class because
Yeah. So.
this one has this little set of details and this one has
Mhm.
that set of details, and sometimes it's just in the way that they drill that or how they apply it or when they apply it. You go, yeah, I know that technique, but I never thought about doing that with that technique
Mhm.
or whatever. So you kind of get more of a, you know, it's like if this is Lameco and you go, what do you see? And you go, well, I see two stickers. And I go, no, there's only one sticker. You know, you actually have to kind of go around the whole thing to get the
Yeah.
full view of what it
Yeah.
is that's being presented. You see, Dave Gould do his thing, and it's same stuff presented in a new, interesting way. Uh, Roger does it from his aspect. Rogers Astig is to me more akin to concepts,
Mhm.
and rather than just a like a curriculum, right? It's more like how do you take what you're doing and make it efficient. What are
Yeah.
you doing that's creating openings? Hey Alex, how are you?
Hey,
Another
my
another great
brother.
Bay Area guy that I love to hang around with when he's around.
Yeah, Alex is. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I try to see them. I saw Felix once
Okay.
before he passed, but I really didn't get to train with him. Um, and then, but now we're starting to meet some of his students. So David Polson's been around from Prague. He was
Yeah.
one of Felix's students. So I'm getting a sense for how he taught versus how Roger teaches and things like that. Very much, Guro Felix was more, hey, let's spar, let's spar, let's spar, which is the core of it. Um, and now I think now with Roger, we're doing a little bit more attribute building on specific
Mhm.
techniques,
Yeah.
and I think that piece was missing out of, or that's I don't want to say missing, but that wasn't part of the way Felix taught. Right,
Mm.
Felix would teach you
Okay.
some things, and he says, "Okay, now we're going to spar it out and see if you can get it." And don't get me wrong; those guys they can, they can spar,
Yeah, they can spar.
but
They can dish it.
when they go and when they meet Roger, they can tell the difference. The efficiency that Roger has developed is really good. Like I said, it doesn't apply specifically to his style. It's if you hear him and you have heard him,
Mm. Mm.
it's about efficiency of your motions. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what the
Exactly.
angles are. We all
Yeah.
know angle one, angle two, and
Mm.
you know
Mm.
we all do the same kind of base techniques. If you break it down into what your basic strikes are, it's all
Yeah.
kind of the same. But can you make it efficient? Can you do it in time? So that's
Mm.
where Roger focuses on. But still, for me, it's like I want to know the the ins and outs, a little bit of the art. When we were talking yesterday, there's a difference between preserving the art and applying the art.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So for me, it's like, okay, what is Lameco?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of subsystems in there that Punanguro put together. The three core ones being the Campo,
Yeah.
Streetsimo, and Pikiti,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so in my journey, anytime I have an opportunity, I'm trying to absorb as much Illustrisimo as I can, as much Pikiti as I can, and I've been doing the Campo.
The
I
campo.
think I think Dragon's doing the Campo as well to learn about what they're doing, and it's evolving because uh, Mount Jose, died so long ago, and his sons have gone, so the grandsons kind of taken over. But there
Yeah.
are a couple of uncles that are still around that they've just recently reached out to, and they're getting additional refinement. So
Mm-hmm.
talking about preserving the route, Paulo Pagalin and
Yeah.
that
Paulo is. Yeah.
Robert and William and all these guys that are kind of in the core groups over there, they're doing a wonderful service because we all know these things disappear if
Yeah.
nobody preserves it. And
Yeah.
what
I
he's
mean, it's
doing
a shame
for that art.
I can't join the class that William is teaching.
Yeah,
Because it normally falls about 1 a.m.
yeah,
1 a.m.
yeah,
here in the UK. So I was like, if I'm going to start doing things at that time, I won't be able to sleep until about maybe 3 a.m. or 4.
yeah. So I think I've been doing that maybe just over a year or so. So it's really interesting to see where a lot of the core techniques came from and
Okay.
what evolved from the Campo. The Campo is
Yeah.
very much, in my mind, a Largo system,
Mm-hmm.
although it can get close. But as you learn it in the beginning, you're learning it mostly as a Largo system. But it's really beautiful in the way um, it's not a complicated system. You can fit the whole
Mm-hmm.
curriculum on a page, but
Okay.
it's the way they mix it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's brought into Lameco, and it's brought into the way I teach. Is you have a set of core techniques, but they're all able to flow together.
Yeah.
So if I had, seven techniques, I could go 1, 7, 3, 2, 4.
Yeah.
They all work together. So it's learning the base moves, but it's not just the striking. What it is the motion of the body with the motion of the stick, and how to get that, that body movement. There's a lot of practitioners, even some of them that have been training for a while, that still only use their arms. Their
Mm-hmm.
body's not part of the movement. When they're
It's
coming in, it's still here,
yeah.
right? And it's part of their journey. And they'll get it eventually. Some people may never get it, but um, I
Hmm.
think the compo does a lot to show you, your body weight shifting and elastical
Yeah,
and how to move your body with the stick. And it's from the beginning. It's the idea is that has to become subconscious. The movement,
subconscious. Yes.
the footwork, right?
Yeah,
Um, and it's almost more important than the striking. I mean, the striking's important, but it's like, are your feet doing what they say what they should be doing? And of course, there's exceptions to the
yeah,
rules, but beautiful system. I think it'd be one of those systems that would be good for like to be taught in school because it's not complicated. It gets complicated in the details,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
as a core system, it's not, it doesn't have 10,000 techniques and all that kind of stuff. It's something that you can learn and get good at in a short amount of time.
Hmm.
At
Oh,
least you're at least proficient. But like I said, it's in the
yeah,
details, the movement, and
yeah. Actually, yeah.
are your
It's
heels up, are you down, are you sliding, are you not sliding, are you overstepping, not over. There's a lot of footwork, a lot of footwork,
mm,
which is completely different from the footwork that we do in Lameco Astig.
it's
Although in
more direct.
yeah, it's direct a little bit. Like we don't do a lot of triangle footwork, although there's triangle footwork in Lameco. There's lots of triangle footwork. But if I'm triangling, I'm usually turning, so it turns into a hakbang paiwas.
Yeah,
So
hakbang paiwas. Yeah.
so instead of just doing a triangle footwork, I'll go back here. Instead of just doing a triangle footwork here, like we would in bikini, right?
Hmm.
So if I'm going, you're here and I'm going here, usually I'm going to turn towards you, right? So just stopping here is not something we do a lot because it'll help you here, right?
Yeah.
So usually turn it into a turn, right? But it's
Ah.
there in the core Lameco where they'll do the
Mm,
triangle footwork. But with
yeah.
Roger, um, that's all happening at Largo. What you do at Largo, whatever.
Mm,
And there's
mm,
almost, I would say, there's really no very little medio. You're going from Largo, and
yeah.
then you're finding the timing and the opening, and you're closing the gap for the kill, I guess you would say, or for the hit.
Ah, okay. All right.
And it's a scary thing because you have to really just jump in at the timing and not be afraid to be on the inside. And usually
Mm,
that's why you get the I hit, you hit, and then we reset. I hit, you hit,
yep.
reset. This one is we hit, and then bah, 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 you're in, right?
Okay.
Your timing has to be really nice.
Yeah, of course. Otherwise, you're always gonna end up trading
Yeah,
strikes or alternating strikes with your partner or your opponent. You have to be able to use timing to be able to get past that.
yeah. There's a few people here online that I've sparred, and those that know. I've been told a lot of times. They go, hey, "You're so aggressive." I go, "I'm not aggressive. It's just I don't stay at a distance. I move in right as soon
Hmm.
as we engage, and the timing is right. I'm going in to kill.
Um,
I want you in a like whoa.
you
Uh,
want them backpedaling.
I want them backpedaling, and then that's where you can finish it. And people
Mm,
aren't used to that. And a
yeah.
lot of times, what happens is they go, "Oh yeah, Hyle likes to step on your feet." I go, "I don't like to step on my feet. You just don't know how to move backwards." And your foot was there.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not moving, I step
Right,
on
right,
your feet.
right, right, right.
Okay, so this of course with your Lameco journey, you also managed to spend some time either like exchanging swords or Alex says cheat.
Right.
That's also what my students actually tell me when I do that. But I mean, with regards to your Lameco journey, it's not only with the teachers that you got in contact with. Like you also like with David, you've managed to get in touch with the students as well.
Yeah.
So who else have you basically uh, got in touch with regards to Lameco?
Well, there's a lot of them down in LA, but as far as Lameco, like I said, I've trained with Dino and Ariel to
Mm-hmm.
try to get what they're teaching. And again, they're teaching the same thing, but they'll add two or more things, and then they'll add like here's how we drill it and how we combine it, and this combines with that. And I go, oh,
Mhm.
I never thought of that. And so like I said, it provides a bigger picture for things you already know,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
core moves, right? Um, Recently, they had a little Zoom seminar with Bong Hebia, who's also one of the SOGs, and he was presenting empty hand.
Okay.
Roger does some empty hand, and so you know it all comes out. Bong was kind of doing a similar thing, but Bong was saying that before Punangulo died, that the two of them had been working on a new set. They wanted to document some of the empty hand that they were doing, and come up with like the little curriculum
Oh,
of empty
wow.
hand techniques. And so he covered about 6 or 7 types of moves, and they all had a common core and common finishes, but it was like, if they come in this way, they can do this.
Ah, okay.
And I had never seen that presented that way. I mean, Roger has done it, but I didn't know that the other guys had been learning that, and that there was a works to like document and codify that into
Ah.
16. So that was really good. I had
Oh,
never seen
wow.
it before.
So there's actually like some sort of like a syllabus or a methodology
Yeah,
in
yeah.
teaching it?
It's not complicated, but it was somebody's throwing a punch. There's
Yeah.
so many ways to respond. So it was common core things, and you'll see that with Lameco is it's not that deep. It's in the how you mix, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that comes from the compo, because, like I said, the compo curriculum's not that big, but they're big on mixing. So I have maybe 6 or 5 sets in the beginning in elementary, and then in 2 special sets. And then those 2 special sets you mix with all the ones that came before. So you go six
Yeah.
mix with one, six mix with two, six mix
Yeah.
with three, six mix with four. Okay, seven mix with one, seven mix with two. So you get things where it only starts on the Bertha. You get stuff where it goes in and out. You get stuff that
Mm,
only in
mm, mm.
Serrata. You get things that are horizontal, and so it takes those same moves and mixes them, and that's kind of sort of how I think when Angulo wanted it to do, because he has his sets, his Screama sets, and his Kali sets, and I think there's an Amra set, and I think there's one other that I've never seen. It's like the Lost Robert Johnson song. Somebody says it's there. I've never seen it, right? But they're really simple moves, kind of like what like say like Polanco's one, where you have a downward
With
strike and a
yeah,
thrust.
downward strike, yeah,
That's
and a hook.
Lameco Eskrima one. Eskrima
Okay,
two is the other way.
the
What's
other way.
Polanco's one?
Yep, yep.
It's
You combine it.
it's exactly the same thing, but Punaguro put it in these pieces, but that was only to learn like maybe some basic strike combos, and
Mm,
then the end it was you combine them in different orders, right?
yeah,
This
that's
this
true.
this one doesn't have to follow that one, or this one doesn't
Yeah,
follow
that's
that
true.
one. It's,
Mm,
it's what you need at the moment,
mm.
and you don't have to do the whole combo. It could be the
Yeah,
start
yeah.
of one. You go, oh shoot, I need to do something else. So it was a
Mm,
way of learning basic strikes, and then the real drilling of it would have been put it in mixing them all together.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So at least you can do it like in uh, how should I put it? In clusters, in
Yeah,
different clusters.
and
Yeah.
then you can drill it too. Like if you're doing double stick, I'd like to double stick because there's a lot of Sinawali, there's a lot of drills, and we did a lot of crazy stuff with Guru Dan and a million drills. There's I think 12 double stick sets, or not sets, but just basic drills. Up down, Ekis across, this way, Prasada. And there's these basic sets, but then what he shows is like, hey, somebody comes and he gives you an angle. I can gunting it, and then I go into Lameco 1 2 3, which is basically like Sinawali, except for
Hmm.
Sinawalis don't start chambered; they start
Yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? So when I come in, I end up with the final strike, bah, and
Yep,
then I'm back
yeah.
in my
Mm,
stance. So boom,
that's
here,
yep.
bah, and practice that. But then what is the ending? Maybe I start with that and then I do a V strike, whatever. But he's got all these combos, and the idea was you're going to mix them up to, is it
To suit
a
the
defense, is it an
situation.
attack, is it a whatever? But they
Mm,
all flow together, and you
yeah,
can break them up and then mix them up in different ways. And like if you
yeah.
were drilling it, go, okay, we're going to do the Mako 1 2 3 and V strike as your finish.
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
we'll do all the angles. Now we're
All
going to
right.
do this as the finish, and this is your start. So that way you have a safe way of learning the attribute of those things and
Mm.
getting the footwork right and the timing right. You know. So,
Okay. So, I mean, Hal, I'm not sure basically of the extent of the demos that you prepared, but if you feel like doing a demo or two or something, feel free to do so. I'm just gonna lower myself down.
yeah, yeah. So let me bring on. Let me introduce this a little bit. Um, so we talked a little bit about the campo, but of
Yeah.
course, the illustrismo. So on that part of it, I've been, trying to absorb whatever I can from Alex Urshia when he's not calling me a cheater. And
You
then,
mean when you're not stepping on his
yeah,
foot?
when I'm not stepping his foot. And and anybody else that has some good illustration schools, everything I can, that's recorded, whatever, I watch it all, I absorb it all. It's so close to Lameco, um, but also the Pikiti, right? So a lot of the knife stuff in Lameco, I think, is based in Pikiti because Gahe was Punanguro's teacher. So I presented a little bit differently,
Okay.
um, but I'm gonna show
Yeah, sure.
with Stephanie a
I'm
little
gonna
bit, and
lower
I'm gonna,
myself down.
I'm gonna break it down into kind of like how I would teach a beginner. So it starts off with come on in, Steph, take a bow.
Hi, Steph. Don't forget your cartwheel.
So Stephanie's been training partner of mine for almost 10 years now, but we've been um, practicing this for the last few months. And usually, what we start off with something. Just we call it the 4-3-2-1 counts, which is basically partly Sagang Lebo in Akini Kirka. So if we go 4 counts, I go, you give me angle 1 strike, I'm going to give her the strike here. She's got to block that. And then we'll come here and we'll go here. Right? The purpose of this drill is just to learn that there are angles, different ways to block it, what to watch out for. She could hit me there, right? We could start off just standing still if she's having a hard time with the arms. But the idea is I may give her forward pressure. She may give me forward pressure. I may not want to be pushed backwards, and I'm going to rotate, right? So it really depends on what you need. So this is an inside block, so it's kind of wide. So I'm going to go here and then take that shot, right? Of course, this could have been here and here and come there, right? But if she comes in a little bit more, then you got to do the regular recount,
Yeah.
right? But I may give her a backhand, and she'll take it with this, and we'll take it with weapon hand blocks. Just a 2 count, 1-2, and we're capturing this because this is a reference point for a lot of things. At this reference point, we teach all the endings. It could be cuts here, right? But at first, learn the positioning, learn the hand placement. So she's going here. One of the reasons she's going there, she's just practicing the hand placement because I may reach in and pull her in into that. Right? So this is 2 count, and then we have 1 count, which is really just a pass. I'll come up the center, maybe do backhand, come back out. Maybe we'll go over from this way. And she when she gives me this, they're learning to bring it down, take the cut here, and then really this would kind of be the ending. But to keep it in the drill, we're gonna come here. I'm teaching her to watch for this. So I'm trying to move off to the side. She's gotta adjust for this angle. And I'm gonna clear it and then she's gotta take it. Right? So just another attribute to learn. So this is without any applications. Now, this isn't the fighting. This is just learning how to recognize angles, see where it's coming from, how to respond, where to move your body. So once she learns that, then we kind of go. There are no things. Just what do you want to do? we may be working on disarms or something else. And what you would do is put them into the mix here. I may say, find an application. You can try. Right? So find that application in the flow of things, right? You net that. Another one. So within this drill is where you actually begin to find your applications in the time in real time while you're moving against somebody who's not necessarily following the specific pattern. I could come here. Right? And I was just going to say that a lot of so what we do in here too is we bring in the live hand. So in the mix of it all, she'll come there, make sure you don't forget that that hand exists and that you cover it as well. So I may come here, cut through there. Some of these, if you notice, they're all for the throat, but we've been changing the targeting. We talked about this a little bit last time about
Yeah.
We're preserving the techniques that go in this art, and we all know the history. Well, maybe don't all, but the history of Filipino martial arts is very much, tribal in the jungle. It's warfare. It's World War II. It's all this stuff, and it was about illuminating a deadly combatant. And we're not in that situation right now. We're in a situation where you may be at the mall, the post office, at the market. You don't know.
True.
And I teach a lot of women. I don't give them these techniques. Like I don't just let them do it to me. If they mess it up, I tell them you didn't get it. You didn't get it. You have to manhandle me. I'm a small man. I'm only 5'6". If you can't manhandle me, you won't manhandle somebody on the street. So I give them enough pressure where I'm not being mean, but I don't just give them. They have to earn it. If it's some type of wrist lock or something, scoop. So if it's something where she's required to do this, she should have that, and I should be coming up. So even on these, if I come here and I'm coming here, I want to see her move right in this arm bar. She should feel the pressure. I should feel the pressure, and she should really get it in real time. But in order to change things, what we're doing is instead of going for the throats, cutting, coming down the spine, doing all that, coming up the groin, all these things, what we're doing is focusing on stopping power. And I get this concept from the Ticket Tactics guy, the NBC people. It's more about civilian self-defense.
Yeah, that's
and taking the targets now being the biceps, the triceps, and the leg muscles. Why? Because if I can take here and here, then I won't be able to hold the knife. And for them, if I take here, if I shove it there and cut this muscle here, then they won't be able to chase
that breaks us up. Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we've been using those as our targeting. So even we'll use the same drills, right? And if I take the two, count here, biceps, right there, I come out and I can leave, right? And that's a technique that they teach at NBC. But that's just a finishing move, right?
Yeah.
So you can find those on either side when you need them. Right? Yeah. Come over. Right? So teaching more of that, especially like when we did the seminar last week, it was holdups and it was about this type of targeting, right? So we did some tappy, but it was more about earning the draw. So, oh, no, but I can get it. So one of the exercises we'll do, if you can do this. Okay.
It's actually nice to put some context as well into the drills, managing to change it depending
We'll
on
do
the
all the
use.
drills. We'll do the different U drills, the tappy, do the regular tappy. this one, right? So I'll come here, right? Oh, yeah. There you go. Back this way. You put them up, spin.
You're off the camera.
Boom. So we'll do this drill where we'll do this, right? Where I'm trying to stab her. This is good for people who like to fake. So if I come here, I come there, right? So people will respond. The second one, and we'll drill that in different ways, different faking, different, just so that you get good at how to respond. But that's, again, that should only happen once, and then you're moving into some move, right? That's just a drill. The other one that we drill is like the parry hits. Your empty hand. My other pocket? Your empty hand. Go down. Your empty hand. All right. So parry hit. Parry hit. You don't have a weapon. I'm the bad guy. Okay. All right. So it'll be like parry hit, right? So 1, 2, right? So it doesn't matter where I come from, right? She should be able to give me this type of energy. Or also, we grab. Yeah. Which one? The guitar? Yeah. We grab. So we're also practicing. Okay. And we haven't done this with her in a couple months. Okay, so, see if I can remember this one. So it's just a grab. So if I'm here and he's there, right? And where she's getting here.
Okay.
She's on the outside. So always focus on getting on the outside. So if I came here this way, and I went this way, and she went, boom. She's trying to get me to the outside. Here, right here on this side. No, stay right here. Because you're off here. Yeah, okay. Right? So I came here again. Right? Boom. Right? So she's trying to get to the outside. But now, in this drill, what we do to put it all together is I come in, I give her an angle. So do the whole flow, and then I'll give you 3 seconds. Oh. All right? Right? So the way you put it all together. We're in the draw and I have nothing to draw. So we'll practice those individually to build up the skill set. But then it should be, hey, I come at her. She's going to do something. Boom. 1, 2, 3. And then she has to be here.
Okay. That's
right.
Good.
So I give her 3 seconds to draw. And then I'm going to attack her again. And she has to be able to use one of those other techniques that we talked about earlier and how to finish that so that she can get away to safety.
It's a good way actually to link those drills.
She cut me here and she cut me here, right? And there's a lot of little details, and maybe we didn't get them all, but that's kind of the idea. Is there's all these like I hear the Pikiti guys talk about subsystems. So teach all the subsystems, but then they're not subsystems. That's just a way to master and isolate specific technique.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can master that movement, or at least become proficient at it. Then it's all put into the flow of how do you use that? What does it make sense that we went like this for an hour?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's true.
It doesn't do anything. So there you go. Vegas says it's already a better program because you're in it. Oh. Yes. Thanks. Yeah, I let Stephanie stab me a lot. They get a kick out of it every time I mess up, and they get a chance to stab me or slap me.
Yeah.
We just like to get beat up, Kyle.
But that's keeps them coming back, right?
Yeah. And that's kind of just the knife stuff. So I drill all of the basics, because we only did Pakal grip drills. There's thrusting drills. Where we actually put on these masks here. Let me see. So we'll put on these masks here because I'm targeting the face across the eyes. Okay. Across the eyes. So we'll take these drills. There, you got your knife.
Is that like an airsoft?
Yeah, they're like airsoft, and so it's not good for sparring with stick, but for knife.
Yeah. For knife.
Like a tap, right? Like a tap, but we do the thrust drill. This one. So we might start here doing this drill, and there's a whole progression in how you get to this place, but you're teaching how to check. And people are always like, what do you watch my videos? I use this all the time. People come in for a thrust, and you get them. But you have to have a good hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Then that people do that, so then you start teaching this, right? You teach them how to cut the hands. So you start cut the hands, cut, 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 cut. So you want to check, cut, cut, right? And then out of that drill, uh, take your applications. So it could very well be. So I'm going to come here and then take the eyes out of there. On the half beat, usually here, boom, pop, right there, right? Right? Take those half beats, boom, right? Um, but learning how to break the timing,
Yeah.
break the timing. That's why we put on the mask. I'll make them actually hit the mask because what you find out is they'll be like, and I go,
Mm.
no, hit the mask,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a knife, right? You block with the blade, hit the knife, and then get away. The idea is if I can block you here, maybe hopefully disarm you because this should be a hit, not just a little slice. It should be a boom, and then take your eye.
It should dig in. Yeah.
You should be able to have a chance to get away. So always with the training, especially with well, it's with everybody, but I have several women that train with me. It's always about how do I get away? How do I get away? So get them to a place where they'll think twice about chasing you because you've got blood running down your face or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. All right. That's nice.
thank you, Stephanie.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you're still coming back, Steph.
yeah, that's just one piece of it. And I know you had asked about preferences over knife and
Yeah, yeah. Before we do that, basically, so how do you approach teaching impact weapon or sticks then?
um, it's kind of the same, but rather than I mean there are like I said, I teach the sets, the Lameco sets as the
Mm-hmm.
base drills. To me, that's almost like Blancas 1, Blancas 2, and whatever, but in the Lameco way. But I like some of the master race drills just for attribute building. But then it's about sparring. So for me, the Lameco piece of it that is different from say any other system would be the timing and the footwork and how we practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? So right now, even with just Zoom, you see it's very much a cardio, and I think
Yeah.
the difference between what we do and what a lot of other people do is it's not just the arms; it's about doing it in real time
Mm.
at a timing clip. What
Yeah.
I noticed in the beginning was I thought I was real good. I could do this and I could hit and I could do all kinds of stuff. But then in the spar, your timing is off. It's awkward. Your feet
Mm.
aren't in the right place and it's weird, right? So to
Mm.
be able to do something in real time while you're moving is key. And so we'll practice that, but then it's like, okay, now let's put it in sparring. Practice your half beats, practice your ngano, practice your interceptions, right? And it's not, and with Astig, it's not I hit you hit. It's
Oh.
maybe it's an Ngannou, maybe it's a
Mm.
draw, but then it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, ba, 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 and then
Yeah.
it might not end there. You might have stopped, but if I see that you stopped, I'm not resetting. I'm coming in again,
Mm.
right? And I think that's when you watch the spars. Um, everybody spar. There's some really talented people, but usually it's a I hit, you hit, or one little engagement, and then it resets.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Steve, I've been able to now get my interactions back and forth with Wu Roger to about 5, and then I get hit. Hey, it's
Well,
over until it's over. You make sure you're way out of range.
uh, well, at least you're starting to like increase your
Yeah,
capacity of
so
not
I feel
getting
good
hit.
about that. I still got
Yeah.
hit, but it was like 5 little exchanges, and then I got hit.
Yep.
Right, versus before it was just like, bah, and I'm like, oh, shoot, bah, you know. I remember it was like I blocked it, and then I get hit. Right, now I can block like 4 or 5, and I come back. But what I find is he is so well conditioned in his ability to move that stick that it's not so much that I don't see it. I can actually see the technique coming, but I
Mm.
cannot move the stick as efficiently
As
to
him.
to counter. It
Yeah.
just that's when he talks about using the heavy weights and all that. Let's see, I have here. Um, these, this is These are our
Yeah.
favorites, right? So this is for training when we're even when we're doing knife. These things weigh almost 4 pounds, and
Yeah. So that you get 2 pounds for each, right?
no, each
No, each.
individually. I think they're like 3 pounds. These 3 pounds, three something
Ah.
each. And Roger wields these like they're paper,
Yeah.
and if you do his class with these, you're sore. You're like, oh my god. And I watch him and go, yeah, that's why he can be so fast and how he can change directions and do broken strikes at full power and change directions midstream. Um, I think what I have in in my sparring is I tend to want to overblock, some of the
Okay.
downward diagonals and trying to put too much power in it, and then I will
Hmm.
overswing. That as soon as my hand passes center line and starts going here,
That's it.
he will hit you 3 times. If you watch any of the videos with Roger sparring, they all got bruises right here because they went like this and they crossed center line too
Ah.
much. So he'll draw you in, da, 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 and then you'll get you. Anytime there's an overswing,
Mm.
and it's not just you doing it; he baits you to overswing
Mm. Mm. Mm.
because you think I got him, and then oops,
Yeah. Gives you the illusion that you've got him, only
yes,
to find out I got baited.
yeah, all the time. And I see him do stuff like really wide punchadas, and I go, man,
Mm.
I'm not falling to that. I'm gonna wait till
Do you ever like when you teach? Did you ever practice like two different weapon sets, like one stick, one blade, or
I know a bunch of espada daga, and there's espada daga even in Lameco.
Mhm.
There's a lot of it, but I don't practice it as much, and I don't teach it as much because in reality, I've been asked spar. Let's do espada daga. I go, okay, I'll hold the stick in his hand. You won't get a chance to use that knife. Not
Mhm.
not with the way we spar. It's just I've had some really good espada daga guys. Ask, hey, let's do this. I go, yeah, but I'm not going to be that close. And if I'm in corto, I'm hitting you.
Mhm.
Um, so I've done it, but to me, it's fun. It's beautiful. Like I said, it's the preserving the art part of it. But
Mhm.
I don't find it as easy to pull off in an actual spar.
Okay. All right. Fair
Right?
enough.
Just
Um. Yep. Dragon has a question. Okay. Are you more inclined towards knife slash blade or stick slash impact aspect of eskrima training? And
um,
to which degree do they overlap for you?
I think mm,
You can
knife
you
is
can do you can do
yeah,
you can answer
knife is
also with
very
a
much
demo if you want to.
knife is very much portal, right? So
Hmm.
it's a different game whereas the stick is uh, kind of largo to corto really fast, right? So there's not. Although I've done those where we can play. I can even do some of the drills we were just doing with the stick, but
Hmm.
it's corto stuff. Um, Maybe if I was in an elevator, it would work for me. But if I'm out sparring somebody, I wouldn't probably use much of those techniques. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I stick. I kind of got into knife. Well, I think it's a practical thing because I carry, so I want to know as much about it. And then I tell you, the more I know about knife, the less I ever want to have to actually do it
Hmm.
because you're going to get hurt. I don't.
So like for example, when you teach Hyle, so when you teach like women self-defense,
Yeah,
would you teach women to use a stick, an impact weapon against a knife?
anything, right? Cell phone, purse, backpack, right? So how do you deploy those things? It's an object, right? So it really doesn't matter. I might have my water bottle, right?
Hmm.
So it's a different type of thing to um, when you're teaching self defense. It's really what are you carrying, right? Like
Okay.
because we even used to do classes on how to deploy pepper spray because women are like, I got pepper spray. Where is it? I don't know. Somewhere in the bottom of my purse. Oh, here it is. I go, you're already dead. right? So if it's not somewhere where you can actually use it, it's no good. And then, have you ever sprayed it? So we used to get the kind that you could actually deploy.
Yeah, yeah,
It wasn't real, but you could do it and attack us. Where to spray? Where's the wind coming from? Don't spray it and the wind's blowing in your face,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Of
So
course.
keep people aware and how to do it, right? But it's my umbrella, my purse, my backpack, my school book. How to hit somebody, where manipulating the body, dumog, pushing the arms, and a lot of hand grappling, like
Hmm.
getting getting the grabs away, right? Breaking out of the
Yeah,
grabs,
yeah.
getting away, poking the eye, getting out, right? So women's self defense that way is more about body mechanics and utilizing what you have. Even your cell phone, you got your cell phone, oh, impact weapon, right? So um, it's been a while since I taught that, but we did that quite a bit for, especially when we were at NorCal. We had quite a few women.
Okay. So when you teach, like for example, knife or blade, stick or impact, do you approach it differently?
Yeah, yeah, it's completely different. I mean, it's only different in range, really. The
Hmm.
movements are kind of similar. I can do knife movements with with the stick and vice versa, but it's a different energy, different mentality to be that close and personal. For
All
whatever
right.
reason, women are good at it. I mean, they pick up a knife and they want to slice you right away, and they're good at it. But you give them a stick or boxing glove, it takes a little bit longer for them to kind of get into that mode. And
Mm.
I think the biggest challenge I have when I'm teaching women is getting them not to be afraid, or to actually use energy, real energy. They want to be gentle. They've been taught to be gentle.
Okay.
They've
All
been
right.
taught to be
Okay.
nice. They've been taught to be kind. So I go punch me, and they're like no, punch me. Like somebody's trying to take your child. How would you punch them? You we had a guy come, John Cashal came and he did some training, and it was something we did in the Marine Corps. And I told him I'm not going to do too much of this because it's really weird, but it's about how to get yourself into a hyper killer zone. And it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like, imagine that you're behind the plexiglass and that your family's on the other side of the
Yeah.
plexiglass and they're being attacked. What
Mm.
is that? And like, he was having you imagine these emotions of anger that you would do
Yeah.
so that
You need to draw
so
it.
that you
Yeah.
could so that you can pull it out of you. And it was
Mm.
like, okay, you need to learn how to switch that mode on when
Yeah.
needed. But also, the downside in the studies of this is that the more you do that, the harder it is not to be there.
To switch it off. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mm.
that's why I was like, no, this is stuff we did. I've been in those spots. It's not a good emotion,
Mm.
but it is. I mean, and I can turn it on. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you were saying earlier, I'm always smiling, even when I'm sparring. I'm smiling, and people crack up. But then it's when my face goes serious.
Yeah.
Then I don't recognize that I do that, but people have told me, "Is your smile went away?" And I went, "Okay." That's because it was like it's on.
Yeah. It's like okay, serious mode now. It's on. So before we get to like the native clan, are there still any demo that you and Steph prepared for us tonight?
um, that's kind of what we thought we would show. There's so many things we could show, but since we've been working on a little bit of the knife, I wanted to showcase some of the things that she's been doing, and uh, and just kind of talk about it because it's the same way that I teach the knife is the way I would teach the stick. But
Okay.
it should always end up in sparring. So if any of the people have seen any of my videos, usually what I try to do is I mix sparring and training and drilling in there. So uh, it always ends up with, does this make sense? And where does it make sense? Like we were doing for Paul. For Paul's very much a close range stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
you may end up sparring, in this grip. So we have all our drills in that grip. So I like the way that the PE guys have done subsystems. So we've got all our techniques this way. We got our techniques this way. When do
Mm-hmm.
they apply? How close are you? and how do they mix? How do you change from one grip? When's the right time to change from one grip to the other? Wherever you're at.
Yeah.
So, um, but I would say there's only a handful of students that I have that have really gotten to the place where they've gotten through multiple subsystems because people you know life gets busy for people and they train with me
Mhm.
for a year and then maybe they disappear for 6 months and then they go
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
like I have another woman that trains with me. She was getting her PhD, so she just got her PhD, so now she's training again.
Yeah, when life gets in the way.
Yeah. So I got into making the blades because of this, right? Every time we would go to classes or we would go somewhere, you see the guys come out and they pull out the beautiful blades.
I'm gonna lower myself down now, so.
Oh, so they would, I made this one,
Oh.
right? So they bring them out, they do their thing, they clean, clean. You might see some sparks if it's metal and all that, and they do some beautiful techniques, and then they go, "All right, grab your sticks." And you're like, "What the hell?" Right? And if you're doing an art, especially an art like illustrisimo or something
Yeah.
like that, it's definitely a bladed art. Um, they pick up your stick. I realized that I was getting a weird like aches in my arms, in my wrist,
Mm-hmm.
in my elbow, and I realized that it was because my angulation, my edge awareness wasn't there. I was doing
Yeah,
this,
going like that. Yes. Yeah.
doing this, and you know what? This is a technique in some arts, right? But then
Mm.
that's not necessarily a sword, right?
Yeah.
Um, so at first, I made a few of these. I gifted them mostly to uh, my teachers that I
So
had at
you
the time.
started with aluminum training
I did,
blades.
I did. I
Ah.
think I think this is actually a copy of a blade that was gifted to Tim McPatrick. I think it was. It was a copy of a blade that somebody got that belonged to Tim Hartzell. So I made a couple of these, and I mean these things have got burl handles. It's all
Oh,
carbon there,
that's
and
yeah. That's
but the thing
nice.
is as much time as I spent making these, how much is people willing to spend for an aluminum trainer, right? Really, and I
Yeah,
go,
true.
I didn't want to build wall hangers. I wanted something you could bang with.
Yeah.
So I started creating these blades, and this is one of my first blades that I made. I
Mm-hmm.
still have it, and I use it as a demo. Everywhere I go when I'm selling blades, I go,
Is
here,
that the
here's what
is
I
is
did.
that the one that I saw when I
Yeah,
when I met you?
yeah, probably right.
Ah.
And I hit as hard as I can. And still 7 years later, this thing is still in really good shape. Um, so it, I found this material. It seems like almost everybody who's making uh, uh, polymer trainers these days have adopted this material that I located, right? Because they must have seen one of my swords somewhere, right? And I know some of them, right? Um, and I know some people have bought my swords just to replicate them, which is okay. That's
Okay.
a
Yeah. Before you carry on, yeah. Konya said, using the native clan blade make it totally different. You learn there's a big difference using. Yeah, actually, when I got that pinuti that Alex gave me, the 32-inch, do
yeah,
using it in the Zoom class, in Roger's Zoom class, it basically is very different from the ones that I use because the
yeah,
ones that I use is kind of small. It's
yeah,
compact.
yeah,
It's basically made for the houses here in the UK.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Yes,
using the 32 inches, yeah, it's really different.
and it changes. I always get which blade should I get? I go, what are you training, right?
That's true.
And
That's true.
so finally, then you get the I don't know. I go, okay, well, you figure that out first, right? Or the guy says I'm doing Serrata, or I'm training with Jam Horon. Horon
Mm,
like
mm,
36 inches. Sword.
mm.
I haven't seen a lot of his I've seen him teach a couple of times, and his father's sword is big, long sword, and it's got the scabbard, but it doesn't have an opening or a closer on one side, so it can come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
but all his students is like 32, 34, 36 inches, whereas a Serrata guy is going to be like 22, 24. So it really depends on what you need. And maybe illustration guys might be like 30 inches.
30, 32, I think. Yeah.
So I'm working with a few people. Um, these right here um, were brought to me by Alex Ursia, Illustrismo. He had a blade that was similar to this, and we created something that could be a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I got rid of is the little piece that comes right here, right? And
Yeah.
I do that for a reason. It's because I try not to have something that's going to capture your hands.
Yeah.
Right now, this is a trainer, not a combat tool, right? So I try to make it so that way, if for whatever reason you're being compliant with somebody and you allow them to disarm, your fingers won't get caught,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
also, we made the space a little bit bigger, so that way, if you wanted to wear a glove,
Gloves.
you could
Yeah.
wear a glove with this. But this one is so well balanced; it's like even all the
Mm.
way. Where like a lot of blades are maybe tip heavy because it's more of a chopper. This one's like even all the way, and these are all just about maybe a pound or so. Like that.
Yeah. And I even like the finishing that you do on your punyo. It's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, this one's nice.
Yeah.
And then I've been working on.
Well, I need to save up the next time that I'm there, Hyle.
So I have this one here that is a design by Master Yuli Romo.
That's
So I
nice.
don't know if you guys have seen Yuli Romo's work, but what a craftsman! He's been
He is.
making these out of wood, and
Mm.
they're beautiful. But if I had one of his swords, I would not use it. It is just
Mm.
so beautiful, and I would just if you hit anything with it, I'd be afraid it would break or whatever.
Mm.
I'd be heartbroken. So I
Mm.
asked them about this, and I'm going to recreate a few of his blades, and some of the proceeds are going to go to him and his family. They've had some health problems, and I want to help them out, make sure that they get something out of it.
Yeah. Well, if you want basically, if you need help basically in promoting it, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to make a few. I'm going to make some of these. These are it's a beautiful
And
design. It feels really nice. It's not
how
too
long is that, Hyle?
must be about 24
24.
ish. I'm just guessing.
Well,
I'm
if
just guessing.
if my niece is going to visit me again this year, I'm gonna get one and ask her to carry it.
Yeah, that one will fit in a suitcase. That one will
Ah,
fit
yeah,
in.
definitely.
Yeah. So most of the blades, and I mean, I could pull out a bunch. How about this one? This is a two-handed Campbell that we made.
Man.
And the reason we made these two-handed compilons is because a lot of the guys here started sparring against the Hema people,
Ah, okay. Good
and they
idea.
would go in with a gununting, and these guys got a long sword,
Yeah, super mismatch.
and they go, "Can you make me something that's kind of represents my culture, but yet is I can wield it like a two-handed, right? You can still wield this as a one-handed, but it gives
Yeah,
you that extra, you
I
know,
know.
and so a lot of people use this. There's a couple of schools, ADF. Every one of their students has one of these. This is what they practice their dos mamos with one of these.
That is really nice. How long is that?
I don't know, 36, 38. I don't know. That's because this is
Maybe
like,
about 40?
yeah, something like that. So this is a
Wow.
nice one. But everything from short to long weapons, we've been doing it. I This is probably my 7th year since I started
Wow.
doing it. And at first, it was just kind of hobby.
Eh, mm.
Wanted something that I could train with
Mhm.
and use for a whole class. I didn't want to like have something and then put it away. And if you use any aluminum trainers or any other trainers and they don't have a good handle, you use it for like 5 minutes and you go, ah, my hand
Yes,
hurts.
exactly. Yeah. Yep,
and
yep, yep.
and
That's
so
true. That's true.
I've tried to make it so these things actually have decent handles. So
Yeah.
they're not
I've
gonna.
also gone through the stage of like having the paracord wrap for the
Yeah,
handle,
yeah,
but when you use it, the longer you use it, it actually causes yeah and blisters and everything. So
yeah.
it's nice
I
if
have
it's going
some,
to be for display.
but I used to do those, but even these, I didn't know you can't see it here at this one. But
Yeah,
these actually have some thickness to them.
yeah, that's true.
So there
Mm.
is like double. So I don't do this as often because in order to do that, it was taking me an hour to wrap each
Yeah,
one of these.
true,
And
true,
I go,
true.
that's a lot, right? An
Yeah,
hour
that's true.
to put a handle. So
Mm.
I only do some of them, but definitely.
Yeah.
So for me, this has become my it's become my day job. So if I'm not
Mm.
training or if I'm not teaching, I'm building,
Okay. So
building.
how would they contact you? Both for lessons and for your training blades.
Uh, Facebook and Instagram, Native Clan Training Blades. You find me or under Hyle Campbell. You're not going to find many other Hyles. It's me and my son. I had a a woman reach out to me once, and she says, "Hey, are you the Hyle that lived in whatever back in 1970?" When I go, "Yeah, in the third grade, yeah, I remember." She goes, "Oh yeah, you." I go, "What other Hyles do you know?" Right? I go, because I thought you were a player. I go, "We were in the third grade. What the hell did I know?"
So okay, so with you've got quite a wide range of training blades now in with in Native Clan because I've been seeing your posts
Yeah. One of the
from
things I want
knives.
to show here, look. So recently, so this is where the training blades are going.
Wow, and you've got kydex as well.
So this is actually called, I think, the Precept by Kill Creek Knives. So he's actually a law enforcement guy and a knife builder. This is his design, and he had me make a bunch of these for him so that he could do his knife training. But this is,
That's
he's got
nice.
on the belts. Uh, we
Wow.
have we have these now, so these are coming, and it makes it so nice. And you just strap it on your belt now when you're training.
Mm.
So when you're practicing your draw, that's what
And
you have.
you basically do the kydex as well, the
Yeah,
sheath.
doing the kydex, right, for these knives, and it makes a difference because we all got the knife in the bottom of the bag, but now in your pocket, and you'll go grab your bag.
Okay. All right.
But now you can carry it, right? But
Okay. So
now,
Hyle,
go ahead.
the kydex sheet that you make, are they compatible with the tech lock?
Yes, yes,
Brilliant.
yes. So I've added these straps on some of them
Mm.
that, but the holes in the spacing is
Yeah, yeah.
standard.
Brilliant.
So
Yeah.
it if you I could just have the kydex like this one, and then if
Mm.
somebody, it's what usually what I've been asking lately is, do you have your own hardware? Well, I don't know what
Mm.
hardware you want. Do you carry like this? Do you carry like this? Everybody's got
Yeah.
different preference, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you should be able to attach whatever standard
Tech lock. Yeah.
hardware that you want with these. I'm using
Nice.
the standard spacing and all that, so
Nice.
should be
It's
nice.
actually nice that you also like provide the kydex sheet.
Yeah, I mean it's making a difference. I just started. I haven't got all into full production yet because I'm working on some gear for an organization here in the Bay Area. Under Jason and I don't know what he's got, but all these swords here. This is 65 swords here.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
all going to one organization, and it's in a spot at Dagaset, so it'll go to those guys. Where's the? I'm looking for the practice. Okay. So I think you have a set, right? I give you a set. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I love the Spaday Daga set, man, that you gave
Yeah.
me.
So
Yeah. It's actually my son uses it quite a lot now. My youngest son.
yeah, this is a really nice set. So,
It is. It is.
but yeah, everything pretty much. I don't have a big shop. Everybody talks about handmade, blah blah. Yeah, my stuff was made here in my shop, and some people have reached out asking if they want to invest in maybe expanding my business a little bit or whatever. But you haven't got there yet. It's really just been a labor of love and
Yeah.
getting me out of the tech world, what I did for 35 years, but
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a creative. So now I can, play with my hands, stay in the martial arts world, meet some great people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I've met so many people through Native Plant Training Blades. It's unbelievable. There's uh, KC and Jay of Industry Small, and you know Alex and Michael Ruby, and there's so many
Yeah.
people here that I've met here in the Bay Area. It's unbelievable the amount of great, really good-hearted people that I've met in the community.
Okay. And if they do have, like, for example, an event that they're organizing, they can contact you
Yeah,
to
and
maybe have a stall. Yeah.
yeah, I try to go to as many people invite me. I usually go. So I've been out as far out as Stockton, Sacramento, which is an hour, 2 hour drive. Vallejo, all that. Whenever there's a Filipino community, whatever, I'm usually there, trying to have a booth or something like that.
Oh.
We had one here in Vallejo not too long. It was right on the water on Mare Island, the old Navy base, which was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And showed up, and those guys, welcomed me like family, and a lot of them are walking away with new toys. And then the wives are like, "Why do you need another trainer? You got so many trainers already." I go, "How many purses you got?
Touche. That's that's true.
Let's count those shoes."
Yeah, let's just talk about the purse and the bags, not the shoes yet.
But
Actually,
it's like it's blades. I think I was listening to Dean talk earlier. I forgot the
with
guru's name. Uh,
Royce.
no, no, about the blades. He had all the blades. Combatant and Illustration was the guy. I don't know. I forgot his name.
Oh, that's Dan.
And but he was talking about how they have a personality. Every blade and every sword
Yes,
has
they
a
do.
personality. And
Mm.
when you swing it, it makes you want to do something different. That's why people go,
Mm.
"Which one should I get?" You go, "Come and swing them.
Yeah,
Play with it. Swing it around. It might be too top heavy for you, or you may not.
yeah,
You may like
that's
a
true.
certain feel, or the length might not be right for you. And
Mm.
obviously, it really depends on what style you're doing. But some people are just
Yeah,
like, right? I want something long. I want something short. I want whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
every blade flows differently. Every blade flows
Exactly,
differently.
exactly. Yeah, and even like with training blades, I do like training blades of different style,
Yeah.
different make, because it gets you like the feel of the differences as well of of the live one.
So if you're, you got this little one, right? So
It's a hacking, chopping
right,
one.
right,
Yeah,
or really small, right? And then you've got here, right? Would be your
different.
right.
Yeah.
It'd be here, right? Whereas this is more up close and personal, right? This is like you're right there.
Mm, 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 mm.
But then you got
You've got
this,
the Campilan.
right? It's really wrong. It's a completely different game.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
each one's different. Um,
yep.
we got a number of bolos that,
Oh,
that we make.
GM Yuli is online.
Oh, here's your sword. So this is based off of his design.
Mm. The first time that I met GM Yuli, I think that must be 2014. I actually bought a it's not a live blade,
A
but
little dagger.
it's like a sort of like a karambit or something that
Yeah,
he actually made.
yeah.
The workmanship is just really sublime.
I know
So
he shared.
I had to buy one. I no,
I
I
know
had to
he
buy a
shares
pair.
pictures with me. I go, these are works of art. I mean, they're
Yeah,
so
that's
beautiful.
true.
It's like, oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, if anybody's interested, I support schools and teachers with their stuff. If you're buying regular equipment from me, have programs for schools so that they could, get their students equipped, things like that. Um, but yeah, if you haven't had an opportunity to train with some of these, you should, because it's an alternative to rattan. Originally, my
Yeah.
tagline was replaced in rattan, but I still like rattan. But, but there's nothing about having something like that in your arsenal to correct your movements. Even if you give a sword to a little child, they know where the edge is and how they're supposed to chop your head off,
Yes.
right?
Yep, that's
uh,
true. And
and so
I mean,
they
at one
correct
point,
you.
it also teaches them how to be responsible
Yeah,
as well. Okay, so
and it's not a live blade. Granted, it's there's people who goes, oh, it's not a real sword, and real sword's different. I go, yeah, but it's a step closer from
it's like,
the
yeah,
stick,
that's true. That's
right?
true.
And the idea wasn't to create uh, wall hangers, first of all, and it wasn't.
Mm,
It
mm,
was meant to be something safe that you could
mm.
give to your class, even if it was all kids.
Yeah,
So uh, what's
to
this?
be used and abused.
Yeah. I have a couple of schools that they outfitted their whole kids class with them,
Oh,
right?
really?
Because the Gununting is only like 24 inches or something
Mm,
like that,
mm.
and they got one for each of their kids. So now in their kids class, they all have a Gununting that they train with, right?
Wow.
And it changes the game for them because it's
Yeah, it
not just
does.
a stick; they're not painting with the stick,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly.
So there are some schools that's how they operate. There's a couple of schools here that every time there's a new student, they get a compilon, a couple of swords, and a couple of knives.
Mm.
That's the gear that's required for them based on their training. So
Okay.
that's
Wow,
ADF in
that's
San
great.
Jose.
Calling Edgar.
Yeah, yeah,
Calling Edgar. All right. Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So, like, what what do we look forward basically with regards to your projects or plans, both native clan and basically you doing seminars and teaching classes?
It's not my big goal to have a school or anything. But what I do want to do is I'm willing to share what I know. I'm always a student. There are so many brilliant martial artists that have such great skill that I want to absorb from here in the area. And every time I do, it's like, show me something, show me something. It may still be, hey, let's spar, but uh,
Yeah, I'm gonna show you something, but let's spar first.
yeah, let's spar. You know, but I want to learn from from all these other guys. I see so many great things, and a lot of times it isn't so much that I want to learn another abecedario. It's more of like, how did you drill that? Oh, that's a brilliant way to drill that.
Mm.
That's a good drill to build that attribute. So I'm
Yeah,
always learning, always absorbing, and I'm always freely giving of what I know. Some people say that's wrong, but if you want to learn, come and learn,
learn.
right?
Yeah,
Come and
exactly,
learn.
exactly.
May not be your only thing, because for me it's like I'm not looking for disciples or anything like
Mm,
that. It's like
mm, mm.
people who want to get better at certain things, or they want to know some of the knife stuff I do, or even the sparring. I've had people come here and they've asked me to join them to help build, to coach and sparring. It's because
Yeah,
you know they want to get better at it, and who doesn't? And there's some things to learn about efficiency, right? And
that's true. Yeah.
right.
Mm.
And we sparred.
Wow. Yeah, we did. We did. I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like while most I think while most people are watching the Super Bowl, we
yeah,
were there sparring.
they were sparring. Yeah, and I've sparred a lot of people in the area. I don't post most of my spars,
Mm,
mostly because first of all, am I'd like to show them, and if those people want to share the spar, then I'll let them share it. Most of the time, I
mm,
don't, because I'm not trying to go, hey, I beat up this guy, or I hit him, or
mm,
whatever.
mm.
I get hit, they get hit. And if they want, I'm not afraid to share. But usually I let those guys decide if they want to share in the public,
Mm.
how they're doing in that aspect. That's up to them.
Yeah.
Roger always wants me to share, but I don't. It's like if I don't see the video, it didn't happen.
Okay, so um, before we wrap up this interview,
Yeah.
I likes to
So
break
those who
lines
didn't
in
see
his
that, I posted a
garage.
video of me swinging and breaking the lights. Yeah. I was redecorating. I was
Ah, right, okay. Or I thought you're practicing for piñatas.
yeah.
Okay, what um I would say I know you have shared quite a lot now with the FMA community, especially with the FMA discussion community. But is there anything that you want to tell or to say to the FMA community when it comes to the betterment of the community or
Yeah.
promotion of FMA? So,
Yeah. I've heard you ask this question. A couple of aspects. One is I think that this current generation is doing a lot better about not being as tribal. Uh, and the secrets of the past don't have to be the secrets of the past anymore.
mm.
We're not. I'm not going to attack your village. You know, um, and so that aspect of it, I think, can fade away a little bit, and share the art because if nobody shares it, it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
And it's like you think of the guys that are passing even this year. If they had kept their art secret to themselves and didn't share with anybody, they would be lost to time. And I'm
Mm.
sure there are hundreds of arts that are lost to time. I think the Campo was on the cusp, and Lameco's on the cusp of that as well. If people don't share, I know I was asking Dino and Ariel how come they don't record more of this and share it, and they're like, well, maybe somebody's going to take the techniques and all that. And I go,
Mm.
yeah, so what? I go because if you don't document it as part of the system, then it goes away when you guys go away, and then nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
So be more open. Be honor your style, your lineage, all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean you have to be closed minded and absorb and learn. That's how the art's going to grow. Like I said, there's a difference between preserving an art and then
Mm.
applying art, right? So I think that today I could probably teach bits and pieces of the compo. I could probably teach you know a good. I could probably do a decent job in teaching the basics. I could teach the basics probably. Some of Ilustrisimo. I could teach some Pikiri, uh, and I could teach some Lameco. But when I apply it, what is it?
Mm.
Maybe it's a little bit of all of them, right? That's what
Yeah.
Lameco is. That's what Lameco is. It's like where do you find the common areas? So when I
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at the other arts, I look at where what is the common pieces and not less what makes me different.
Yeah.
Different. How what is there to learn and absorb? Um, don't be open up, be more open to outsiders too. There's still a lot of hey, he's not Filipino, so don't support those guys or whatever. There's people of all talents, and then we keep talking about what's going to promote FMA. It's like bringing everybody in. The
Mm.
the Filipino
Be
culture,
inclusive. Yeah.
it's so beautiful. It's so
Mm.
beautiful when you talk about the family and all this type of thing. It's tribal, just like my background is tribal, right? And it's about the family and we still have the warrior culture and all that, but uh, that was then. This is now, and if we want this art to survive beyond just a phase, it needs you need to be open to everybody. You can still honor everything and keep it in there, but you know, quit fighting over terms. You know, I don't name a lot of my swords because I don't want to get into the argument over. Well, in my
Oh,
region, it's called
yeah.
this, in my region, it's called that, and we only practice this. And like I'm not giving a history lesson. I'm selling trainers. And hopefully
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
they're functional for what you need to do. If you need something
Mm.
different, we could do that. But I'm not trying to teach you the history of
Mm.
that. Although I've learned way more about Filipino history than I ever thought I would. But And
Yeah,
especially
let's not go there.
with Elric and Franz and all that, and talk history all day long and about how they connect back to the America
Yeah.
and everything. I mean, it's wonderful history. Yeah,
But trainers are trainers.
trainer, bang them hard, train often.
Exactly. That's
Beat the
what it is meant for.
yeah. I see guys. I mean, they really bang, with these things, and that's what it's meant. So then you could go a little bit harder on your training if that's
Mm,
what you want to do, and not
mm.
have to worry about it breaking because it's wood. Not worry about slicing the other guy because it's
Yeah,
aluminum, or
yeah, yeah,
or it's a dulled up live blade. There's a
yeah,
time for that.
yeah, yeah.
There's a
That's
time
true.
for that, but it's usually not in the core training. It's
Yeah.
when you're building your athlete. It's like,
Mm,
okay, let's pick up the metal, right? Okay, ting,
mm,
ting, ting, ting.
mm.
But that you have a different I don't know, energy when somebody's swinging metal at you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even
True.
even when you get into a live spar, I mean, I've had my fingers broken, um, you know, and with live sticks, and even one of these, I broke my finger with one of these through the gloves,
Yeah,
through the
through the
glove.
gloves. Yeah, you do get tagged.
Yeah,
That's why when we started like using polymers for like our even just with our feeding
yeah.
practice, um, we have to upgrade our gloves now. So we
Yeah,
have to use HEMA gloves now.
I've been using the Lameco ones recently because
All
they
right.
can hit pretty hard. But also, you have to have partners that are going to honor the hit, right? Because
Yeah,
you
true.
got to go, yeah, you got me, right?
Yeah,
And
true.
so, recognize that's a learning experience, not something to be ashamed of that you got hit.
Mm.
It's like, what'd you do? Do that again
Mm.
because I didn't see that coming.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Brian said aluminum is for
For flowing,
flowing.
for flowing. You look like,
Yeah, true,
you know, and
true.
people will want to spar and hit. I've seen people do it, and that's great. I'll leave that to the younger guys. I've got enough broken fingers and bones. I did that. I passed
Yes.
through that phase
Same
already.
here. Same here.
It doesn't, I'll do some light sparring with light sticks and stuff like that, but I'm not going to go and get my head bashed in over what. I still do, I don't do tournaments. I'll do sparring, but I do less of tournaments because I'm not looking to get my head bashed because somebody wants to win a ribbon, you know.
Mm, mm.
So it's like you'll do dumb things and you'll hurt people and all that for what. But that doesn't mean we don't have good, fun sparring and that's
Yeah,
real,
that's true.
right?
That's true.
I mean, I did
That's
that,
true.
but I'll leave that to the younger guys. But it doesn't mean I don't spar.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I,
I would say they're very nice words from coming from you, Guru Hyle. So, I mean, in behalf of FMA discussion, the moderators, and the FMA discussion community, I would like to thank you for being our guest. And we're gonna see you again. Yeah,
yes,
together with the other Lameco Astig instructors.
and if you're looking for some good trainers, reach out.
Yep, guys. Yep. I mean, I would recommend. I would highly recommend Native Clan.
All right. Hey, thank you. It was wonderful talking with everybody.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you still see people even today asking me to make an aluminium sparring trainer.
All right. Exactly.
That's true.
Hey, Lalo.
That's true. Hi, Lalo. Yeah, I know, Brian. I know what you mean.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy the rest of the week. Oh,
And
thanks, Stephanie.
we'll say
Are you
say
still there?
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Thanks,
Next
guys.
time it's gonna be you.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to having you also as our guest in FMA discussion.
Sure. Sometime.
Yeah, we're gonna book that maybe sometime September.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Yay! Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys. Right, so there you go, everybody. Episode 315 with Guru Hyle of Lameco Astig, Norcal. So once again, this Sunday is going to be the raffle for the charity raffle for Jess Santiago. And it's good that actually Hyle reminded me about this. Federico Malibago still has his GoFundMe ongoing for the benefit of GM Yuli Romo and his wife. So luckily, GM Yuli is actually here at the moment. But yeah, so please support those two causes. Okay, so there, one is the GoFundMe for GM Yuli, and the other one is the upcoming raffle on Sunday for Jesse Santiago. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are. This is Guru Tom Pena for FMA Discussion, signing off.